Hello fish fools, Jeff here. Some Guppy Fry right here. Small, a little bigger, and various sizes. There's a juvenile, and then a bunch of adults and platies. And Pandagara, that's one of two in this tank. So this is one of my 10-gallon aquariums. This has been sort of a community tank. This is the only aquarium I have that has an undergravel filter. So, you know, these tubes are attached to the plate that's underneath the gravel here. And then I had since added a sponge filter back here, and then even a hang on the back filter because the water wasn't very clear. There's a Julie Corridor, the only Julie Corridor that I have left. There's also Pygmy Corridors. You can see one back through the Java moss back there. And this is the one aquarium that I have that the Java moss is growing really well and looking good. For some reason, sometimes it grows well in some tanks, and then it kind of, I don't know, it seems to be going cycles. Sometimes it grows well, and you know, whatever the conditions might be, lighting or fertilizer, which I don't keep up with adding fertilizer as much sometimes. But anyway, I am showing this tank because I'm about to do a water change, and with that I'm going to move one of the guppies in here. Eventually I am going to move several more fish. Most of the platies in here are going to go into one of my 40 gallons, and the plan, I'm going to move that Julie Corridor and I want to get several more, and the Pandagaras I want to move there also. I'll show you where those are going to go. So this is one of two 40-gallon tanks I have. This is where I'm going to move most of the platies. This is going to be a planted live bearer community tank featuring mostly platies, but you know, guppies too. As of right now, there's some platies and guppies in here. And this is the replacement for my 30-gallon, the one that I had for 3 years until it leaked, and then I moved, and then I just replaced it with this 40-gallon. So I want to kind of duplicate it as it was, to some degree, being, well, you know, as I said, a planted live bearer community tank. And then going back to that 10-gallon. And then most of the guppies in here, guppies and endlers and guppy endler hybrids, are going to go to my other 40-gallon. This 40-gallon here. So this is going to be, again, a planted live bearer community tank, but this one is intended to feature more guppies. And you know, some of the community fish may be different, like a different tetras and rasbors perhaps. Alright, so that's what is going to be happening, but it's not just yet. I want to let in those two 40 gallons, I want to let the guppies and platies in there have some babies and let them grow before I add more fish in there. But right now, I'm going to move one guppy to a tank that has no fish in it. So it's gonna be, I believe, this female guppy right here, the one that's Appears to be the fattest and pregnant and likely to drop any day now, any moment. So that's going to go into this 20 gallon, a 20 long I set up recently. So this 20 long aquarium right here. Since I set this up at the same time as the second 40 gallon, but I haven't added any fish in here. The idea is this was going to be a breeding tank. So I'm probably going to do different species in different phases. Like how this is set up right here with the coconut hut, I want to get kribensis. So I'll have that hut, and I put this, strategically placed this mopani wood as kind of like a wall shield to give them privacy and just to claim their area when I do get them. And I also want to try to breed white clouds. I want to try to breed corydoras. So, but right now, while it's empty, I'm gonna just put a pregnant guppy in here, let her drop her babies, and I'll move her, the adult, and just let the babies have a tank to themselves and until they grow, and just let it be a grow out tank. And once that guppy has babies, I'm also planning to move a Corridor Fry. Now I'll show you that. So right there is the one Pygmy Corridor Fry. So this is the only one that has survived to this point. It's about 3 weeks old. This is my 10-gallon Guppy Net hybrid tank that has Pygmy Corridors in it. And the Pygmy Corridors spawned, and I collected 8 of the eggs, put them in here. They all hatched out, all 8 of them, and then after a couple days, a few of the babies died and a few more along the way, but this is the only one left. You know, it's unfortunate that I lost the majority of them, 7 out of 8, but I mean, 1 of 8 I'm glad has lasted. So I'm going to move this to that 20 gallon. I'm going to let the guppy drop some babies in there, because right now, if I put the adult guppy in, this corridor is still small enough to get eaten. It's a Pygmy corridor, so I mean, it's still really small. I mean, it's still noticeably, considerably bigger than it was, you know, when it first hatched, but still quite small. Yeah, that'll go in that 20 gallon with the newborn guppies, and then yeah. So let's go back to that 10 gallon. I'm going to collect the guppy. Yep, this one is the fattest. So I'm going to get my hands wet, collect her, move her to that 20 gallon, and I'll proceed with the water change in this tank. And I'll acclimate her to her new tank, and then we'll look at her when I release her and let her have the tank to herself. So, stand by. Alright, so move the pregnant guppy. She's here in the 20 long. There she is. And back. So right now, she has the entire 20 gallon tank all to herself. Or at least she's the only fish in here. Aside from, there's a Malaysian trumpet snail right there, and there is a few of those mini ram's horns, those little tiny flat pest snails. There's a couple. As my cat goes by, yeah, you can barely see them there. And you can see any a little bit of wiggling action. There's some black worms in here. So you can see one wiggling right there, over here, here. So I got live black worms for the first time to feed corydoras as well, to feed any of my fish, and just for the hell of it, I put some in here while there was no fish in here, and just, you know, let them live in here. If they replicate, great. And I can later feed them to my other fish. If I put fish in here, then the fish eat them, then that's fine too. And I did just add this rock right here. That's a piece of Sirius stone, Ceru stone. As you may know, I got a bunch of 44-pound package of Sirius stone along with 44 pounds of dragonstone. I did just add some to my 40-gallon. Like these pieces I just added recently, those 5. And I still have plenty more, so I just put that one in here. So this piece was, compared to the others, was whiter, where the others are gray, some various shades of gray, some darker, some lighter. This one was more on the white side. I don't know, I just put that in here. I may put some more in here. And as for plants, this is pearlweed. That's what I got from Aquarium Co-op, and it is pretty much the same. Now this is Hydrocodal tripartita Japan. What I have here, this I got from Petco about 2 weeks ago, and it appears to be doing good. It was in good shape. Prior to that, I also got the same plant from Aquarium Co-op, and that was not in good shape. The stems were really delicate and fragile, and within 2 days of being in here, it was crumbled into dust, basically. But compare this, I mean, it was a really pathetic small portion for one thing, but compare Aquarium Co-op plant Hydrocodal tripartita to Petco. Petco wins that comparison. I mean, we'll see how it does in the long run, but like I said, Aquarium Co-op's lasted 2 days, this one is 2 weeks, and it was in better shape to begin with. But yeah, so the guppy's back there. Just gonna leave her here and check it out every day until I find Fry. Then I will remove her and let the Fry have the tank themselves. Could be tomorrow. Who knows? I mean, she looks ready to go any moment. But I will check every day until that happens. And then after I remove her, I'm gonna add that Corridor Fry, and then I'll just let the Guppy Fry and the Corridor live in here until they grow enough to the point that they will be too big for a live bear to eat them, but still too small to eat the guppy or platy fry. And then I'm going to put a pregnant platy in here and pretty much do the same thing, and then I'll let the guppies and platies grow together, and then when they're big enough, and maybe by then I'll have other fish that are done with quarantine. Right now I have white clouds in quarantine. Maybe I'll move them in here next, but then also looking to get corydoras to breed and spawn in here, and as I mentioned, kribensis. I mean, kribensis will be the first like dwarf cichlid, and maybe after that try epistogrammas. But yeah, all right. So I also want to see how many babies she'll have, because you know, all I have been doing is just letting guppies have babies in, like, you know, basically community tanks, and just whatever babies survive among hiding in the plants and grow. And a few times I've tried breeder boxes, but I've never done it like this, where I just put a pregnant guppy in a tank, let her have babies, and remove her like that. So we'll see what kind of output there will be. So yeah, when that does have babies, we'll Check how many she has throughout this tank. I'll provide an update with that. Alright, well that's it for now. And remember, I'm Jeff, and I enjoy fishies. Thanks for watching.